Hi everyone, my name is Kathy and I'm here to share with you my top lessons on why I'm grateful for being laid off. So this is a voiceover I decided to add in after recording this video. And throughout the video, I talk about being laid off. However, the reality is I actually got fired, and I don't know if I've ever really admitted that to anyone or even myself because I was super embarrassed and I held my identity to my job so much. However, it is what it is, and now I look back, it's such a blessing because there's other things that I needed to take care of at the time, and I didn't have the balls to quit because I honestly didn't know what else to do. So just wanted to add that in before I start the story. Much love. All right, so a bit about myself is I was laid off from my first engineering job 7 years ago. When I first started the job, I thought it was a perfect job. It had plant experience where I was working in a dynamite plant, and I was able to have office experience doing production and process engineering. However, after almost 4 years of being there, I was let go. And at the time, it was super challenging because I did not know what else I would do with my life. My job was pretty much my identity because I worked for 4 years and I went to school for 5 years doing the co-op program. And so for 9 years of my life, I tied my identity to being an engineer. So this brings me to my first gratitude lesson, which is your job is not your identity. And that took me some time to figure out because I was so heavily attached to it, and I would go to parties saying, hey, I'm an engineer, but without that job or without that job, I could no longer do so. So I started unraveling and digging deeper into personal development at that time and realizing, yes, people have jobs, but that doesn't completely describe who they are. So I was able to slowly separate my job and my identity. So another really good thing about being laid off is the time. For most of our lives, we are following schedules all the time, whether it's school, breaks, holidays. We are just at the effect of everybody else's schedule. However, when you're laid off, you get all the time in the world and you don't know if it's Monday or Sunday. There is a special vibe about Fridays though. I don't know why, but I just feel like everyone's happier and you just feel better, right? But when you're laid off, you get to have all the time you want and pretty much set up your own schedule. And it does take some getting used to. However, you get to set it up how you want to, not be at the effect of someone else's. So you're more in control of your time. All right, next lesson, finances. I know this is a huge pain point for a lot of people when they get laid off is you don't get your consistent source of income anymore and you're worrying about money. And at the time, I just bought a house. I had three roommates, and two of them were moving out. I was like, okay, no job, two roommates. Two of my three roommates are moving out. What do I do? So on my finances, I was able to look at where I can prioritize my spending because I was spending money on things, even though I was good at saving, I was still spending money on things that didn't matter and really looking at, okay, where else can I prioritize my spending? And with my house, I was actually able to move out and rent out the whole house. So I learned how to rent out a furnished house. So I had some really great help around that and able to get additional income from that property and just rent out a room for myself. With finances, you look at your priority spending and see, okay, what else do you need and what can you cut out? And when you're put under tight constraints like that, you really narrow down what you need and you want. I was able to be creative and think about another way to make money at that time and still have all my expenses taken care of. So that was a huge help. So when I moved out, I was able to rent a room, move in with a roommate, and every day she would ask me, how's my day? Like she would go to work and I would say like, how's my day? And at first I tried to have some level of success trying to keep busy, clean up, like I was cleaning windows, like working on the yard, like trying to show that I have value. And after about a month, I was like, you know what? I determine my success to my day. So I just stopped. I didn't need to keep busy all the time. And she'd say, like, how's your day? I was like, yeah, it was good. I didn't do the dishes, like, I didn't do extra cleaning. I just said I had a really good conversation with my mom. And that's when I realized I set the standard for success for my day, not what she says or what anyone else said. So even though I logically knew that, I started living up to it and say, okay, my day is a success if I do the following. And if I don't do it, I get to determine if my day was a good day or not. So with time off, you get more vacation time, right? I was watching Price is Right, and I see the crowds of people, and I'm thinking, do they only have 2 weeks vacation? Like, how do they have time to go visit family on 1 week and the other week go to LA or New York, wherever, and be in the audience of a game show? I'm like, I want to be in an audience of a game show, but I don't know if I can give up 1 week vacation for that. And it just started having me question, okay, how do I live and still enjoy the work that I do? Because when I looked around at my coworkers' life, they'll have like maybe 3 weeks vacation, 4 weeks vacation, but that was after like 5+ years of working. I'm like, I cannot do this. I know that there's other ways to live. And that's when I started questioning, okay, how do I, still make a living and have time to visit my family and have time to go on a game show? I know, it was silly. But that was what got me questioning, how can I travel and still have time to do what I want? So if you're laid off during non-coronavirus time, you can go travel, and a lot of people do. And really, it just breaks you out of your environment to have new experiences and elevate your frame of mind. So during my first layoff, I was able to start looking deeper into personal development work, and I took several courses. And a common theme that came up was my mom. So after doing a lot more personal development work, I was able to look at my relationship with my mom and actually start building that up again, because pretty much when I left university, I said, I'm going to leave this shithole and never come back again. And maybe I talk to her once a year. And after taking the personal development work, and that stuff's intense, like landmark, personal best, EST training, I was like, okay, it's gonna be more than one lunch to repair this. We're able to go on a road trip together to Banff, and it was 3 days where I was able to see her as an adult and just love her just as she is. And even though there are moments where we're about to fight again, I was able to really just take the time and know, like, okay, I want this to work. So we'll talk about it, and we're able to start building up our relationship again. And probably the most important one out of my being laid off from my first job in Calgary was actually moving back to Edmonton and starting to rebuild the relationship with my estranged brother. And he lived in a care home, and that was a relationship I pretty much didn't know how to deal with. However, being back in Edmonton, I was able to slowly build up like a relationship with him before he passed 4 years later. So that was such a blessing, because that wouldn't have happened if I stayed in Calgary and just worked and went to Edmonton once every couple of months and saw him for an hour between friends. And that was a huge difference for my life. I'm so grateful for that time, because money can always come and go. However, time is irreversible. So I'm so grateful for the time we were able to spend together. And I know if I was still in Calgary, that wouldn't have been possible to develop a relationship as we did, where I pretty much saw him every weekend, and we have such a great time together. So with that, thank you very much for sharing with me in my gratitude lessons. I didn't think I would cry from this, but so sometimes you're emotional, you just let it be. So yeah, that's why I'm grateful for being laid off. There's so many greater lessons that I may not have realized at the time, but looking back, I'm so grateful for this time I was able to have my own freedom, develop my relationships, and really dig into another deeper version of who I am.
But thank you very much for joining me. Much love, and until next time.